My fiancé and my own brother hated me for 10 years. They firmly believed that I had bullied their beloved little white flower, and at my engagement party, they exposed my crimes to the world. She is a bully, they declared, in a video broadcasted live online. The little white flower smiled through her tears. I don't blame her anymore. Looking back, the light boat has already passed thousands of mountains. She became an overnight sensation. I, on the other hand, was condemned by everyone. Attacked with sulfuric acid by extreme fans, and in despair, ended both our lives. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my senior year of high school. The little white flower was pouring water over her head, smiling as she asked me, "Have you thought about how you're going to apologize to me?" I snapped. I grabbed her hair and dragged her into the bathroom, pushing her head into the toilet. "I'll teach you what real bullying is. Such a filthy mouth. Remember to wash it before you tattle." Regarding the last memory of my previous life, it was the excruciating pain of sulfuric acid splashing into my eyes. Enduring immense pain, through my blurred vision, I saw my brother protecting Linjo behind him, then I grabbed a cake knife and stabbed it into her chest. Let's go to hell together. When I opened my eyes again, the exceptionally clear scene before me stunned me for a second. Not until I saw Linjo, much younger, opening a faucet and pouring water on her head, while pouring. She laughed and asked me, "Guess, will they believe me, or you?" I suddenly realized, it was this day, the beginning of when I was accused of bullying her in my former life. Seeing me standing there dumbfounded, Linjo's smile deepened. "Have you thought about how you're going to apologize to me, Missy?" Old grudges and new hatred surged. I rushed over, grabbed her hair, and dragged her into the bathroom. Amid her sudden and miserable screams, I pushed her face into the toilet. Thinking a little cold water will frame me. "Come on, I'll personally teach you what real bullying is." Linjo struggled frantically, her arms flailing wildly, but she couldn't break free from my grip. She could only bury her face in the dirty water, her voice muffled. "Lu Xingxi, let me go." Gurgle. Vomit. I laughed uproariously. Such a filthy mouth. Remember to wash it before you go complaining. Whether this is a return to the past or a post-death illusion, it doesn't matter. I've completely lost it. In my previous life, I died on the most glorious day of my life. That day, I won my third Best Actress award, wearing a haute couture gown, standing next to my childhood sweetheart and fiancé Jiang Tian at a grand engagement party broadcasted live online. Then he announced to everyone, "I will never marry someone who has been a bully since high school." In my disbelieving gaze, Linjo walked up from below the stage. With tears in her eyes, she looked up and smiled. "Lu Xingxi, do you remember me, Linjo, who you bullied for 10 years? You probably never imagined that one day I would stand on equal footing with you, but that's okay, I don't blame you anymore." Looking back, the light boat has already passed thousands of mountains. She became an instant sensation live online. Before I could react, a bunch of reporters arranged by my brother and Jiang Tian rushed in, surrounding me. "Miss Lu, we heard you still bully newcomers on set. Some people saw you visiting the gynecologist recently. Is it because your promiscuous lifestyle has gotten you sick?" Extreme fans burst from the crowd, throwing sulfuric acid in my face. "Bitch, go die." The liquid splashed over, and the overwhelming pain glued to my face. My vision never cleared again. From heaven to hell, in the blink of an eye. 3. Coming to my senses, I released my grip, watching as Linjo, her breath faint as silk threads, collapsed to the ground. Her innocent and pure face was now marred with filth. I couldn't help but let out a laugh, cry, make a fuss, and with that face, "Go tell the world that I bullied you." My tone suddenly rose at the end, remembering the agony of my features being dissolved by sulfuric acid in a past life. I stomped on her face again with force. Only then did I turn and walk away. Below the teaching building, my classmate Sulan was waiting for me. "Gym class started ages ago. What were you doing upstairs?" I responded nonchalantly, "Oh, just bullying the new student a bit." She turned to me in shock. "What?" I said. "Lucen once said, if the whole world thinks you're a bully, you might as well be one." Did Lucen really say that? It doesn't matter. We walked to the edge of the sports field and bumped into Jiang Tian. He wasn't in my class, but everyone in the school knew he was my childhood sweetheart and boyfriend. "Lu Xingxi." Jiang Tian's gaze slid over my face, resting indistinctly behind me. "XAN, why are you so late? By the way, I heard there's a new transfer student in your class." In my past life, every time Linjo slandered me, he always made me apologize to Linjo, glossing over the incidents, seemingly standing by my side, but with just a few words, he would solidify the accusation of my bullying. Thinking of this, I unexpectedly raised my hand and slapped him. Sulan was shocked once again. Jiang Tian's expression remained unchanged, his eyes briefly turned colder. Then as if nothing happened, he affectionately lowered his head and nuzzled my cheek. "What's wrong, XAN? Are you in a bad mood?" In the past, I only learned much later that Jiang Tian had been abandoned by his mother in an amusement park and was taken in by an orphanage for a while. There, he met a cheerful little girl. She shared her bed with him and gave him a piece of candy. She was the only light in his life. That light was Linjo, and on her first day of transferring, Jiang Tian recognized her. He firmly believed the words from Linjo about me bullying her and hated me deeply. Yet, constrained by his status as an illegitimate child, he had to suppress his feelings and appease me, because he needed our union to secure his place in the family. With that in mind, I said, let's break up. His pupils shrank suddenly. Why? Give me a reason. Xan. I pulled out a tissue and wiped my cheek where he had touched. I don't want to date the son of a mistress. It feels dirty. Is that reason enough? After leaving, Sulan cautiously asked me if I was possessed. It wasn't surprising that she would ask that, because in high school, I openly and passionately adored Jiang Tian, waiting for him every day after school, baking cookies with my hands covered in burns. Yet still smiling as I delivered them to him, my preference for him was so obvious that the whole world knew. But things are different now. The Lu Xinqi who just entered senior year had already died. Standing here now, was the once dead, Niu Hulu Xinqi. For the whole day, Linzhou didn't show up again. I knew her pride was in her face, if she couldn't make full use of it. She wouldn't make her move easily. I waited patiently. Soon it was Saturday, my 18th birthday. My parents had said early on they wanted to throw a grand evening party, celebrating my coming of age. However, the company had some last-minute issues, so they had to arrive a bit late. The chandelier shone brilliantly. I was dressed in a haute couture cocktail dress, walking down the spiral staircase to the living room. From a distance, I saw my brother, Lu Xinting, dressed in a suit and leather shoes. He wore an indifferent expression and called me over. Lu Cici, come here. I walked over, pretending not to notice Jiang Tian standing behind him with his profound gaze, and Linjiu, who looked like she was on the verge of tears. With a sweet smile, I asked, what is it, brother? Did you prepare a gift for me? Lu Xinting looked at me coldly for a moment before speaking. Bullying classmates? Insulting friends? Lu Cici, is this how the Lu family taught you? His voice did not soften as he spoke. Suddenly, all the guests at the event turned their attention towards us. What is brother talking about? I don't understand. I looked at Linjiu, tilting my head. When did I insult or bully anyone? I don't even know her. It's too late to deny it now. Wrongdoings have consequences. Mom and Dad aren't here today, so I'll discipline you in their stead. Saying this, Lu Xinting pulled a disciplinary ruler from a nearby antique shelf. Looking at me sternly, he commanded, kneel. In the vast banquet hall, countless eyes watched eagerly. What? She bullied a classmate. The Lu family's daughter would do such a thing. Oh, being spoiled since childhood? It's normal to dislike seeing someone better than oneself. It's good her brother is fair and doesn't cover up for her. Under Linzhou's smug and provocative gaze, I stood up straight, smiling. I retorted, what nonsense are you talking, brother? Those who know might think you're Lu Xinting. Those who don't might think you're a ghost from the Qing dynasty. I only kneel to our ancestors who have passed away. I tilted my head, looking him up and down, and sneered maliciously. How about this? You jump off a building right now, and I'll kneel and kowtow 3 times to send you off. Lu Xinting's face suddenly darkened. Behind him, Linjiu pretended to speak. Lu, I know you don't like me, but even if you bully me, how can you speak to your own brother like this? Her eyes widened. Tears brimming, deliberately putting on an innocent and naive face, Jiang Tian, who was beside her, caught this with a flicker of obscure darkness in his eyes. Then, he spoke softly, Xin, if you've made a mistake, just apologize, there's no need to. I widened my eyes, feigning distress. Sorry. I don't understand dog barking. Could you repeat that in human language? Enough. Lu Xinting rebuked sternly. Lu Cici, you're a young lady, don't you know what shame is? Who taught you to speak such filthy, uncultured words? He was the same as before, never believing whatever I said. Instead, with strong prejudice, he would repeatedly nail me to the pillar of shame. I twisted my lips, mimicking his cold laugh. Mom and Dad are too busy to care about me. Guess who taught me? Of course, it was you, my dear brother. In my past life, I was both afraid and fond of Lu Xinting. He was several years older than me, and in my heart, he was always an authoritative brother. When we were children, my parents were busy dealing with their company matters, so he was the one who looked after me. Whenever I made a slight mistake, I would be punished with a ruler on my palms or deprived of meals. When I brought home a curly-haired stray puppy I found, he wouldn't let the maid open the door for me. Dirty and unwelcome in the house, he said, helpless. I sat on the doorstep, holding the puppy all night long. I was young then. I used to think that's just how he was, incapable of showing the gentle affection that other brothers had for their sisters. Then Linjiu appeared. That's when I realized, it's not that my brother didn't know how to be gentle, he just chose not to be gentle with me. I saw how he sat in the car, handing Linjiu a warm milk, massaging her head while saying, make sure you eat 3 meals a day, and if you're short on money, I'm here. I also saw how on a rainy day, Linjiu picked up a frail stray cat, and he held the umbrella over her, softly asking, do you want to keep it? When Linjiu was drunk, clutching at his clothes and speaking nonsense, he listened patiently, his eyes filled with tenderness. In my past life, I was trapped in a deception of love, wondering why my brother didn't love me, why my fiancé didn't side with me. It took me a second life to finally understand. I am a complete individual on my own. I don't need to be loved to live. 9. The birthday dinner didn't end well. As I confronted Lu Xinting without backing down, my parents finally returned. They politely thanked and sent off the guests. Linjiu tried to play the victim again in front of my mom, but she was stopped with a smile. I'm sorry, dear, but our family will handle our matters ourselves. Please leave now. Linjiu choked, almost in tears, glanced at Lu Xinting, then turned to leave. When it was just me and Lu Xinting at home, my dad finally spoke with authority. All right. Let's discuss what exactly happened. Before Lu Xingting could respond, I interrupted. Recently a new transfer student arrived at school, and on her first day, she poured water over her own head and blamed it on me, accusing me of bullying her. Later I found out that this person was a poor student my brother had been sponsoring, named Lin Jiu. Lu Xingting looked up from the sofa, his eyes filled with shock, surprised. Brother, your secret dealings with her were discovered by me so early. With tears in my eyes, my voice choked. Actually, I don't blame her. It's just a birthday. After all, I'm just sad because my brother didn't believe me. In this world, Lin Jiu isn't the only one who can play the innocent. With my tearful voice, my father made the final decision. Enough. No matter who bullied whom, no more trouble. Making a big deal out of it and letting it spread outside isn't good for anyone. Let's put an end to this matter. 10. Back at school. I began openly bullying Lin Jiu. I poured ink into her drawer, laughed loudly at her accented English during recitations, and tore her physics exam into pieces, scattering them over her head. Go on, keep complaining. Isn't that what you're best at? I said with a laugh as pieces of paper fluttered down from her hair. She looked at me, her eyes flashing with deep resentment. In the end, she was trembling and crying as she apologized to me. I'm sorry, Lu, if I did anything to upset you. I apologize now. Did I fix it right? Your mere existence makes me unhappy. I raised my eyebrows curiously. How are you going to fix that? Are you going to die right now? She was at a loss for words and couldn't say anything. In the end, she just continued to cry. For the first time, I discovered how satisfying it was to be the villain. Naturally, she told the teacher as well. The teacher called me to the office, crying. I recounted the events of the birthday dinner, and finally pulled out a hospital diagnosis. Because of her spreading rumors that day, my brother humiliated me in front of so many people. Every day I think about it and cry, even waking up from nightmares. I'm still seeing a psychiatrist and taking medication. The doctor said I have severe depression. In the end, the teacher had to console me instead. Everyone could see that I didn't like Lin Jiu. Su Lan was puzzled. Why are you targeting her so much? What bad things has she done? I looked up and smiled at her. Can't I simply dislike the new student from a poorer family, just because I'm a bad woman and my family is rich? Stop it. She rolled her eyes at me. If you were that kind of person, why don't you bully me? My family is much poorer than hers. On the first day we became friends. You covered the cost of all my school supplies for 3 years of high school. Believing you would bully a classmate is harder than believing I'm Empress Wu. I still understand that much. Yes. Everyone understands that much. But my brother and the person I liked, they didn't understand. I curved my lips into a smile, but there was no hint of joy in my eyes. 11. 1 month later was the school's centennial celebration. In my previous life, Lin Jiu performed a piano solo at the celebration ceremony arranged by Lu Xingting and Jiang Tian, catching the eye of a special admissions officer who granted her the only spot for exceptional admission. As for me, I had been dancing since I was 4, and had prepared a classical dance for over a decade. Then Jiang Tian found me. He hugged me in the sunset-drenched campus and whispered, "Can you not perform, XAN? I don't want so many people to see how beautiful you are. I'll get jealous. Just dance for me alone." Okay, I was a fool back then. I was actually flattered, thinking this was a sign of his care. So, on the day of the performance, I truly didn't go. I danced for him alone in the empty dance studio, over and over again. When the dance ended, cheers like roaring waves came from the distant auditorium. Jiang Tian heard it and suddenly laughed. He was always gentle and quiet in front of me. Even his smile was light and shallow, as if veiled in mist. For the first time, I saw such a clear emotional change in him, so I stopped dancing and naively asked, "Are you happy?" He paused for a moment. Happy? At that time, I thought he was happy because I danced just for him. It was much later that I understood. He was happy because Lin Jiu's performance was a huge success. The only light of his life had a bright and splendid future. 12. I submitted the dance program I had long prepared. But this time, it was not a solo. All the girls in class interested in performing were pulled in by me for a group classical dance. I paid for a teacher out of my own pocket, bought the most expensive costumes, and ordered the best props. Compared to that, Lin Jiu's simple white dress piano solo seemed too plain. I don't know what she complained about in front of Lu Xingting. That evening, as I was coming home from school, he stopped me in the garden. "Lu Xingxi." My brother looked at me expressionlessly. "For the school anniversary performance, drop out of your act." I smiled. "Lu Xingting, what are you barking about now? Don't think I'm discussing this with you." A cold sneer surfaced in Lu Xingting's eyes. "If you insist on participating, you'll have to face the consequences yourself." I stopped in my tracks, staring into his icy eyes. "Brother, is your darling, who has been playing the piano for over a decade, not confident enough to compete with me on stage? What a waste." Just a few days before the school anniversary gala, Jiang Tian found me. "Xin, about last time, that was my fault. But you've blocked all my contacts and refused to see me. I don't know what exactly happened." "Xin, have you misunderstood me? Or, have you fallen for someone else?" As he spoke the last few words, his voice even carried a distinct pain. "But you clearly told me yourself, you would always like me the most." A surge of anger mixed with a sharp sting suddenly rose in my heart. I had truly liked him sincerely for many years. He said he disliked me acting in kissing scenes, so I really gave up many opportunities handed to me by famous directors. He said Lin Jiu came from a poor background, was always bullied in the orphanage, and asked me not to take her too seriously, so I forgave her offenses over and over again. I just wanted to exchange sincerity for sincerity. But what I got in return was their smearing and hatred towards me that lasted for a decade. At this moment, I suddenly didn't even want to keep up appearances. I grabbed Jiang Tian by his collar and shoved him hard against the tree trunk behind him. He gasped in pain, and before he could speak, I slapped him across the face. I didn't hold back at all. His pale face immediately swelled up red. I leaned in close to him and said word by word, "You and Lin Jiu have known each other for a long time. I already know that. If you like her, why come to me pretending to be deep in love? You still want to keep me hanging while using me, and act like a lapdog to your darling. You're just as vile as your hypocritical mother." After the last word, the emotions in his eyes brewed like an impending storm. But he couldn't utter another word. I scoffed, let him go, and walked away. That night, I had a dream. Unusually, I dreamt about the past life, what happened after I died. After the cake knife was plunged into Lin Jiu's chest, I died amidst extreme agony, and she was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. Outside the hospital room, Jiang Tian grabbed Lu Xinting and demanded, "You clearly said you had arranged everything, that you would protect her." Lu Xinting brushed off his hand, coldly saying, "I agreed to share her with you, as an illegitimate child. Without my help, could you control the Lu family? Don't overstep." Jiang Tian staggered back a few steps. Retorted, "Was it you helping me?" "It clearly was." He suddenly cut himself off. Lu Xinting sneered, "Yes, it was my sister who helped you, but she's already dead. The person who threw sulfuric acid on her was arranged by you personally, remember?" Jiang Tian stood silently on the spot. The red light flickered above the emergency room door. Moments later, Lin Jiu was wheeled out. The doctor said, "The patient is still in critical condition." Jiang Tian's gaze swept over her pale, bloodless face, his body trembling slightly. Then he spoke calmly, "I haven't forgotten, and I've never regretted it. I woke up from a dream, stumbling into the bathroom, clinging to the toilet as I retched for a long time. When I finally stood up straight, I leaned on the countertop and saw my reflection in the mirror. My eyes, filled with red veins, brimmed with hatred. No regrets." I muttered, "Don't worry, you'll regret being born in this lifetime. Just wait and see." 15. On the day of the school anniversary performance, I bumped into Lin Jiu by the artificial lake at school. She wore a modest yet luxurious silver dress and a costly diamond necklace around her neck. I was well aware that it was probably bought by Lu Xinting to comfort her. "Lu Xinxing, do you think the status of the Lu family's daughter can protect you forever? You think I won't fight back after you've bullied me for so long? I will make you pay 1,000-fold. So what if you know about the relationship between Jiang Tian and me? He loves me, and your brother loves only me. People like you will never be loved by anyone." She rambled on, and I just smiled and replied with one sentence, "Does the toilet water taste good?" Then, seeing her face change abruptly, I turned and left. In the evening, the fiery sunset spread inch by inch across the sky. I and a group of girls from the dance team changed into our performance costumes, and, holding up our skirts, hurried from the dance studio to the backstage. Halfway there, I realized I had lost the prop for the closing bow. Did I leave it in the dance studio? I thought carefully and decided to go back and look. Sulan asked, "Do you want me to come with you?" "It's fine, the stuff isn't heavy. I can manage on my own." I smiled. "You go ahead to the backstage and do your makeup, then check with the stage manager about the order of our props." The large building was empty. Carrying my beautiful gilt-edged skirt, I briskly climbed the stairs, but as I was about to reach the floor of the dance studio, I stopped. A few steps away on the staircase, someone stood. The evening's golden red sunlight streamed in from the window, but only fell on half of his face. The other half was shrouded in darkness, his eyes deep and mysterious as a whirlpool in the deep sea. "Jiang Tian," he spoke softly, his voice heavy as if suppressing an impending storm. "Xinxin, what are you doing? None of your business. Get lost." I attempted to bypass him, stepping up the stairs. Suddenly, a tremendous force came from my shoulder. My mind lagged for a second. By the time I realized what was happening, I felt light, already falling backward. Behind me were the high stairs. I landed heavily on my back, rolling down the steps. Amidst overwhelming pain, I crashed next to an iron railing, almost hearing the faint sound of my ankle breaking. Jiang Tian walked down the steps, stopping beside me. He still looked at me with those calm, sorrowful eyes, but when he spoke, his voice was cold. "Xinxin, don't blame me. You've had everything since birth. Even if you miss this chance, there are many other paths you can take, but it's not the same for Ajiao. She's done her best within her capabilities." He grabbed my already twisted ankle and slammed my shin against the iron railing with force. Suddenly, the scene from my dream flashed through my mind. He stood outside the hospital room with my brother, looking at Lin Jiu being wheeled out of the emergency room with eyes full of tender love. Yet, when he mentioned me, his voice was indifferent. I have never regretted it. The best 15 years of my life, the most fervent and sincere love. We're all tied to such a person. I suddenly laughed, and just as he was about to slam my shin against the railing, I forcefully pulled away from his grip. Useless. The pain from my twisted ankle made me catch my breath, but I seized the moment while Jiang Tian was still unresponsive, grabbed his hair, and smashed his head against the railing. Scum, think you can harm me again? Dream on. Jiang Tian's head hit the iron railing with a loud thud, his forehead struck a sharp corner. And immediately, fresh red blood gushed out. It trickled down his cheek, drop by drop staining his clothes. Shin. I took a couple of breaths, let go of his hair, and stood up. The pain in my twisted ankle kept throbbing continuously, but it didn't matter. I looked down at his pain-distorted eyes and slowly began to smile. So passionate. My young master, willing to sacrifice yourself just to ruin me here for your beloved little white lotus? Is this the warning from Lu Xingting? Had you already agreed to share her at this time? Absolutely disgusting. I lifted the hem of my skirt, rubbing his blood on his face until the light-colored fabric was stained spotty. Then I left him there, ran into the great hall as the sky darkened. From afar, the melodious sound of a piano echoed from the hall. Lin Jiu was indeed playing the same piece from our past life, Debussy's Eclair de Lune. She sat in front of a pure white piano on stage, wearing a silver dress. The surroundings were dark, with only a spotlight shining on her, like a single bright star in the night, just like in a previous life, at my engagement party, where she climbed up stepping on my flesh. She was dazzlingly beautiful. I ran down the narrow aisle between the rows of seats, pushing past the security guards and the host who tried to stop me, leaped onto the stage, and stood in that sole beam of light. I kicked Lin Jiu over and punched the piano, under her incredulous and stunned gaze. I began to rant. Play. I told you to play. Dare to send your little lackey to harm me, and here you were playing your daddy's tune. Of course, I knew. The special recruitment teacher invited by Lu Xingting was sitting right there in the audience. In my past life, after hearing Lin Jiu's Eclair de Lune, he contacted her at the end of the performance, offering her the only specially approved admission spot. Lin Jiu accepted. It was just the first step in her bright future. Later, through Lu Xingting's careful planning, she became the close disciple of a master in the music world. Due to a role I had to play as an autistic piano prodigy in a film, my agent arranged for me to learn from that master, but after just meeting Lin Jiu, I returned home that evening only to be confronted by Lu Xingting at the door. He looked at me with disgust. Lu Xingxi, will you ever stop? Just because you're no match for Jiu. You hate her so much that you even tore up the piano scores she copied by hand for the teacher. Such a bad seed. I was bewildered for a few seconds, and as I was about to defend myself, he cut me off with a wave of his hand. Lies upon lies. I won't believe a word of your excuses. In the midst of surprised murmurs from the audience, I heard someone scream, blood, look at all the blood on her dress. The blood mixed with dust formed a mottled pattern on the hem of the dress. Her hair was disheveled, and her ankles were badly swollen. Every detail on my body confirmed the truth of the words I spoke. Lin Jiu, leaning on the piano stool, staggered to her feet. The look she gave me churned with deep resentment and hatred, which after a few moments, reverted to her usual feigned frailty and innocence. Classmate Lu, I don't know what you're talking about. There must be some misunderstanding, but this is my performance, and out of respect for the audience, you shouldn't have rushed up here so recklessly. Lu Xingting stood up from the audience, visibly furious, and scolded me. Lu Cici, you're insane. Ignoring him, I brushed past Lin Jiu and sat down on the piano stool. I began to play Beethoven's Symphony No. 5 in a past life, to perform it authentically in a film. I had learned it thoroughly over 3 months. I wasn't a master, but it was more than sufficient for this moment. The vigorous piano notes, accompanied by a slight hum of electricity, resonated under the spacious dome of the auditorium. After finishing the piece, I turned to her and said emphatically, you ruined my birthday party, tried to drive a wedge between my brother and me, spread rumors about me in front of my family and friends. All these I can handle in my way. But having Jiang Tian push me down the stairs, trying to break my legs just so I wouldn't appear on this stage, I paused, staring at her suddenly pale face, and scoffed. Piano is your pride, isn't it? Don't you even have the confidence to compete against me on the same stage? The chaos erupted both on and off the stage. Eventually, a teacher in charge of the school anniversary performance escorted Lin Jiu and me off the stage. The host came up to smooth things over. Next on the program was a group classical dance we had arranged. Backstage, I passed by the girls participating in the performance. Su Lan rushed over with tears in her eyes and grabbed my hand. Are you hurt? I should have gone with you. I'm fine. I smiled and patted her head, comforting her. Go perform. You've practiced so long. Give yourself a satisfying performance. The first prize for the school celebration performance was 100,000 yuan. From the beginning, this dance was not choreographed for myself. As I watched them step onto the stage, I felt a burden lift from my shoulders. Then, overwhelmed by intense pain and fatigue, I closed my eyes. My consciousness slipped into darkness. I woke up in the hospital. That night, Lu Xingting burst into the room. Mad woman Lu Cici, you're a mad woman. He had a step-by-step plan to elevate his beloved to a shining position, like nurturing a flower from bud to bloom. It was meant to be immensely satisfying. But brother, how could I let you have that chance? What to do, brother? Your little white lotus didn't even finish her piece, and the plan to break my legs has been exposed. She won't be able to go to the school she wants now. Suddenly, I remembered something else. Oh, and your accomplice Jiang Tian is still lying on the ground in the comprehensive building. Remember to send him to the hospital if you have time. I clutched the corner of the blanket and laughed. The pain in my ankle distorting my features slightly, in the reflection of his pupils, I saw my own appearance, like a mad woman, or perhaps since the day I died in a past life, I had already become a mad woman. Lu Xingting's face twitched slightly, and rage flashed through his eyes. When I looked again, I returned to my usual indifference and condescension. Was it useful, Lu Xingting? Even if Lin Zhou's performance failed, you didn't get to dance your dance. Moreover, your crazed appearance was fully captured by the camera nearby. This time, you can't just get away with a forged medical certificate. The school has already contacted your parents, preparing to have you expelled. Ha! 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 I laughed loudly. Just a suspension? Do you think I care? Lu Xingting, don't forget, I am also a child of the Lu family, just like you. As Jiang Tian said, if this path is closed to me, I still have many others to choose from the beginning. My only goal was to bring down Lin Zhou, this so-called innocent flower, nothing more. The things she falsely accused me of in my previous life, I might as well turn them into reality now. The paths she took in the past, I will block them one by one. Our scores haven't been settled yet, Lin Zhou. I caused a huge scene during the school anniversary ceremony, hitting both Jiang Tian and Lin Zhou, together with the previous incidents of bullying Lin Zhou at school. It all got uploaded online. It sparked quite a media storm. The conflict between the rich heiress and the poor girl, whether it's 10 years ago or 10 years later, always carries enough topic for discussion. But this time was different, because of the clear words I spoke on stage, my disheveled appearance, and that piece filled with extreme anger and madness. Destiny. Many people sided with me. It might not necessarily be the rich girl bullying the poor, right? Her piano playing doesn't seem to fit that kind of person. Are you an internet troll above? You can even use piano playing to predict the future. No, I mean, look at her. Her ankles are swollen like bread, and she's covered in blood. Who bullies someone and ends up looking like that themselves? Putting aside other things, she has such a beautiful mental state. Way ahead of our times by 8 versions. In the end, Su Lan and a few other girls who danced with me went online to argue with netizens. Lu Xingting is not what you guys describe. It was Lin Zhou who provoked her first. The online arguing was intense. During the days I stayed in the hospital, I didn't know what Lu Xingting told our father, but when I was discharged and went home, he looked at me with an extremely cold demeanor, a little time left unchecked. And you've become utterly lawless. Since your school refuses to let you continue, you might as well study abroad, hide for a few years, and come back when things have settled down. I wasn't surprised by his attitude. Between me and Lu Xingting, his son, he always favored his son first. When the engagement party incident happened in my previous life, my dad was still alive. It was impossible for Lu Xingting to cause such a big stir without him knowing, yet until I died. He never told me anything, but it doesn't matter. I tugged at the corner of my lips. All right then, you've always wanted to study performing arts. I'll help you contact people to apply for an art school. No. I suddenly spoke up. I want to study finance, major in business. The two people in front of me were taken aback. When my dad looked at me again, there was a deeper meaning in his eyes. My school application was processed quickly. Jiang Tian's injuries were much more severe than mine. He was still in the hospital when I recovered. I heard Lin Zhou visited him and even comforted him, saying it wasn't his fault, that you were too heartless. Su Lan brought a large bunch of lilies to visit me at home. Such a perfect couple. They wanted to break your legs, and you ask where you were heartless. I glanced at the flowers in her hand. Those must have been expensive. The prize money was meant for you to keep. It's okay. Everyone knows you're going abroad now, so they wanted to. Everyone chipped in, and they made sure I got this for you to see. She stuffed the flowers into my hands, took a deep breath as if she had made up her mind. Xingxi. I always feel like you know something I don't, especially after Lin Zhou transferred to our school. Things seem different. I don't know how to put it. Just ignore me if I'm not making sense. She sidestepped the bouquet and carefully hugged me. Come back soon. I want to remain friends even after you return to your country. The night before I left, I sat with my mother on the balcony, the evening breeze gently blowing. She looked at me, hesitating to speak. I held her hand, gazing into her eyes. Mom, don't worry about me. In my previous life, my mom died in a car accident. When she was alive, even if my dad favored others, Lu Xingting wouldn't dare to harm me directly. This thought suddenly made me shiver. In the later part of my previous life, Lu Xingting's treatment of Lin Zhou bordered on insane devotion. Was there something more to my mom's sudden car accident? At that thought, a chill ran through me, and I unconsciously gripped her hand tighter. You must be very careful and protect yourself. After a pause, I added, and be wary of Lu Xingting. Cece, you seem different from before. My mom looked at me blankly and sighed. It's my negligence. You used to be so naive, believing everything others said. When I told you that Zhang's boy was unreliable, you argued with me. insisting he wasn't like what I described. On your birthday, I tried to persuade your dad to give you shares, and you undermined me by saying jewelry and dresses were fine too. You really frustrated me. Back then, I wished you were smarter and more cunning, but if this change came at a terrible cost, I'd rather you stayed naive forever. How could a mother not understand her own child? In my previous life, I was naive and always assumed the best of others. That's why Lin Jiao deceived me countless times, yet I never really turned against her, and that's why I ended up dying at my own engagement party. No, Mom. I pressed the corners of my reddening eyes and chuckled. In this dog-eat-dog world, the naive are just prey. Sadly, I had to die once to understand that. At 18, I traveled abroad with my suitcase. Everything around me was completely unfamiliar, but I felt no fear, because I knew too much about what was going to happen. Even if the details were murky, knowing just a few major turning points was enough for me to do a lot. The most important was 2 years later. In my previous life, at the age of 20, Lu Xingting got some information through certain channels and flew to San Francisco to collaborate with a man named Zhou Hai, who possessed cutting-edge core technology. In the next 5 years, he helped Lu Xingting gradually take complete control of the Lu Corporation. I invested the money my mom gave me in the stock market, leveraging some remnants of my past life's memories to multiply the initial funds several times over. At school, I doubled my course load while investing money in several companies that would later join the global top 500. At that time, many of them were just starting. During this period, Sulan contacted me many times. She called every week to tell me how much the dance team missed me and how her share of the prize money had made her life much better. Recently, a university had its independent recruitment, and Lin Jiao participated but got rejected during the interview. It was hilarious. The interviewing professor was also at our school's anniversary performance. She said Lin Jiao's rendition of A Moonlight Sonata was muddy and couldn't compare to Your Destiny. Who knew? After coming out, Lin Jiao was so heartbroken, crying into Zhang's arms, and I couldn't help but laugh brilliantly. The college entrance examination results are out. I ranked first in school and third in the city. I received this message while being tormented by the finals for my dual degree. Still, I managed a sincere smile. Congratulations, Xinxi. I'm still waiting for you to come back and continue being friends with me. My mom also often called to update me on Lu Xingting's recent movements. She cared about how I was doing alone outside, wondering if I had enough money. When I revealed a bit about my current situation, she sighed with relief yet helplessness. You're still a young girl, don't push yourself too hard, she said. If there's anything you need help with, don't hesitate to tell Mom. Don't feel embarrassed. So I gave her the name Zhou Hai and some other details I remembered, asking her to help me look up someone. Definitely, but make sure my brother doesn't find out. I arrived in San Francisco a month earlier than Lu Xingting. Outside that school, as I was about to ask someone for directions, I suddenly saw a familiar face on the nearby lawn. A much younger Zhou Hai. Standing in front of him was a tall, slim girl with short hair and glasses, staring at him coldly. That's my research outcome. Who gave you the permission to discuss business partnerships without my consent? Zhou Hai responded with a forced smile. What's yours and mine? Isn't it something we both worked on together? The idea was mine. I did the experiments. You just assisted me for a while and helped record some data. How do you think you have the right to deal with my work? The girl stood her ground. Hearing this, Zhou Hai's expression darkened. Qin Jilan, don't go too far. We're about to graduate. Am I not considering our future? What use is it to keep the project to yourself? Isn't it better to find a reliable company to collaborate with and maximize the benefits? I'll say it one last time, it is mine. The girl named Qin Jilan looked at him indifferently. The patent is in my hands. You don't even know the core technology, and you want to find someone to develop it. As long as I'm alive, that's impossible. Also, we're breaking up. From now on, you have nothing to do with me. She turned and walked away. Zhou Hai stood there, staring at her retreating figure. His eyes gradually growing colder, a chilling intent almost flashed through his pupils. I stood there, suddenly understanding. In a past life, I had heard Lin Jiao ask Lu Xingting how he managed to keep a talent like Zhou Hai under his control. At the time, Lu Xingting, sitting by the pool with her, smiled and replied, because he needs my help. More importantly, in a past life, I had never heard of Qin Jilan's existence. I managed to meet with Qin Jilan in a coffee shop far from her school. She sat down across from me, getting straight to the point. Miss Lu, I know why you've come, but my work is not for sale. Why? She hesitated, then spoke. At the moment, it's only a prototype. I paused abruptly as I was about to sip my coffee. I know, you businessmen care about commercial value. But I don't. I only care about the final outcome I can achieve, the change it can bring to human technology. To me, that's what's most important. I watched her intently. When she talked about her ideals, her plain face shone with an indescribable dazzling light. She was a very bright girl, and she should have become a great scientist known through history, but in a past life, because of the selfish desires of two men, she died in a strange country, like a speck of dust disappearing under the wheels of history. Miss Lu, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave now. I suddenly extended my hand to stop her. He looked at her sincerely. Miss Chin, I am willing to provide all the funding and resources needed for your research, and in return, all you need to do is help me out with a small favor once the product is complete. Your achievements will still be your own, and history will remember your name. Does that sound agreeable? The day I returned to my home country, the first snow was falling thick and fast. As I walked out of the airport with my suitcase, I immediately noticed the billboard next to me. On it was Lin Zhou's face, meticulously made up over the past few years, while I was busy setting up a company abroad to compete with Lu Xingting, who was gradually taking over the Lu Corporation. He had not been idle. Despite not being successfully headhunted and failing his interview, Lin Zhou was still managed to be admitted into a film academy and successfully debuted in the entertainment industry by his efforts. She really never changed. I chuckled sarcastically and got into the car. Driving through the thinly snow-covered traffic, the car headed straight to my company building. The tender meeting 3 days later was another crucial milestone. Qin Jilan and I immersed ourselves in the company for 3 days to ensure our proposal was optimized. Then, at the public tender, we won the contract without any suspense. When the winning company was announced, I stood up from my seat and met Lu Xingting's shocked eyes. Lu Xingting. I curved my lips into a smile. Long time no see. Brother, at the end, he chased after me all the way and cornered me in the corridor. His tone still carried a hint of disbelief. Is launching your company? After Qin Jilan disappeared, did you hide her away? You're quite anxious, Lu Xingting. I burst out laughing. What do you mean, hid her away? You don't even know her. Why are you so obsessed with finding a living person? Are you planning some illegal activities? Then, as his gaze turned sharply intense, I left, laughing loudly. This trip back home was high profile. After securing the contract, I began networking and met many renowned figures in the business world, holding the exclusive rights to Qin Jilan's patents and having just snatched a major project from the Lu Corporation. Everyone was extremely courteous and friendly towards me. This was something I had never experienced even when I had won 3 Best Actress awards in my previous life. Really, it's all about controlling the means of production, I remarked. Holding a glass of red wine, Sulan turned to look at me, sizing me up. I feel like you've only been gone for 4 years, but you've matured as if it's been 10. That's normal, isn't it? At 18, you can afford to be wild because of youth, I said, now that I've graduated from university. Before showing my fangs, I need to maintain some decorum. After saying that, I raised my paddle and called out, 2 million. Lin Zhou, sitting in the front row, suddenly turned her head. Jiang Tian, seated beside her, also looked at me. In the moment our eyes met, he was momentarily distracted. I keenly noticed the faint scar on his forehead. It suddenly seemed very interesting. 260,000. Coming back to his senses, he quickly raised his paddle and started bidding against me. I knew that he intended to buy the diamond-studded bracelet as a gift for Lin Zhou's upcoming birthday, even though he had managed to gain some influence in the Jiang family's company. It was nothing compared to Lu Xingting's sole control of the Lu Corporation. To curry favor, he had to find other ways. I continued to bid alongside him, watching him spend 6 million to secure the bracelet. I smiled. That's deep affection. Jiang Tian held the bracelet, silently looking at me. It took a good while before I softly called out, Xin, stop it. I'm going to throw up. I dramatically took a step back, sizing him up from head to toe. After a moment, I scoffed lightly. He's more capable than your little mistress mom. At least he made it to the top. I just wonder how you and my brother arrange your schedules. Do you take the odd days and he takes the even days, and then you both share Sundays? I made these remarks quite audibly. Sure enough, as soon as the auction ended, some business friends came to ask me what was really going on. I put on a troubled face. My brother and the Jiang family's illegitimate son have fallen for the same young starlet. Oh. Just a little affair. Every family has its lovers. For true love, one can endure anything. It wasn't just their gossip I was spreading. I also entered the entertainment industry with funds, promoting a new female star. I snatched several key roles from Lin Zhou that were crucial in her past life. Lu Xingting couldn't bear seeing his beloved suffer like this outside. He took decisive action against me. Just what I was waiting for. If you don't make a move, how can you expose your flaws? Suddenly, my name and the company hit the trending searches. Hashtag launching founder Lu Xingqi accused of school bullying. Hashtag Lu Xingqi spreads false rumors. Hashtag Lin Zhou bullied. During the school anniversary performance, the video of me smashing Lin Zhou's piano was played again, only this time, they cut out the part where I played Destiny afterwards. Not only that, but they also contacted classmates from senior year to testify that I indeed bullied Lin Zhou. Yes, at that time, Lu Xingqi really disliked Lin Zhou, tearing up her papers and pouring ink into her drawer, leading all the girls in the class to isolate her. In the video, the boy looked indignant, but because she was a rich girl, Lin Zhou couldn't do anything about her. She had to endure whatever mistreatment came her way. Later, when the issue escalated, the school expelled her, and then she turned around and went abroad to gold plate her education. Now she's transformed into the founder of an innovative company. The company's stock price fell for several days. Several partners called, subtly asking what was really going on. I knew that if I didn't give them a satisfactory answer, the partnerships would be halted. Just wait a bit longer. I twirled my pen, smiling as I spoke with them. We're all business people here. We all know not to act without sure odds. Fortunately, Linjo wasn't as composed as I thought. She hated me more than ever, and seeing my reputation suffering, she took the opportunity to speak out. In a live broadcast, she mentioned the incident. I remember being asked by the teacher to read the text aloud, having attended a rural elementary school where one teacher taught many subjects in a mute English. It was a bit embarrassing, she laughed, and that was the first time I realized my pronunciation was incorrect. I had also prepared seriously for that school anniversary performance. I had been studying piano for many years. Her tone seemed calm, but towards the end, tears welled up in her eyes. The comments, whether from curious viewers or paid trolls by Lu Xingting, flooded in. Sweetie, you're not embarrassing at all. You've done great. She's shameless, not looking at her own background. How dare she mock someone hardworking? Is it just me, or is there a contradiction between her attending a village school with no English teacher and studying piano for over a decade? I couldn't help but laugh when I saw the last comment, but that comment quickly disappeared, submerged in a sea of words. During the live broadcast that day, the number of online viewers broke 5 million. The next day, my father called me back sternly and ordered me to merge Longqing with Lushi. After 4 years of studying abroad and showing no improvement, you come back to the country and cause such a mess within a few days. You should immediately hand the company back to the family and publicly apologize. I looked at him quietly. Dad, get it straight. It was my brother's girlfriend who caused the trouble, not my company. But you started by bullying her, he replied, slamming the table and glaring at me. If you don't obey, consider yourself no daughter of mine. I responded with a smile, sorry, but technically, you didn't give birth to me, Mom did. Soon after, Lushi and Jiangshi announced a collaboration. Together, they targeted my company, snatching away several large projects from Longqing. My father publicly declared he would disown me, saying he didn't want a vicious daughter like me. At the company parking lot, I was almost attacked with sulfuric acid by extreme fans of Linjo. He was also secretly plotting with my dad to use my high school mental breakdown and a diagnostic certificate to have me committed to a psychiatric hospital. In this life as in the previous one, they only resort to such dirty tricks. But now, my counterattack begins, brother. As I was being defeated at every turn and unable to fight back, at that time, Linjo won her first Best Actress award and her birthday was approaching. Li Xingting held a grand celebration party for her. The venue was lavishly decorated, attended by many of her fans, and even featured a live stream. Linjo, in a white cocktail dress, softly thanked her fans. Next, a video of fans sending their blessings was to be played. The big screen behind her flickered on. The footage was blurry and taken from a hidden angle, as if it was secretly filmed. In a makeup room on set, another actress was adjusting her makeup in the mirror when Linjo suddenly bumped into her. She grabbed the actress's hand and slapped herself with it. Then, with a smile in the stunned actress's eyes, she said, the role I covet, who allowed you to compete with me, and you dare to make me your supporting actress? Do you know who my boyfriend is? Lushi's CEO, Li Xingting. Wait until my boyfriend sees the injury on my face. Think about how you're going to apologize to me. No. Rather think about what you'll do for a living after the video of you bullying me is released and you're blacklisted. The final shot was her staring meaningfully at the other actress's chest. No, Linjo screamed, rushing to block the screen, but it was too late. The fans at the venue exploded into chaos. Amidst the uproar, the names Linjo and Li Xingting rapidly climbed the trending topics. Hashtag Linjo my boyfriend is Li Xingting. Hashtag Linjo birthday live. Hashtag Linjo being bullied again. The number of comments skyrocketed at an alarming rate. Su Lan, sitting next to me, frantically typed on her phone, Linjo, how come wherever you go, you're bullied? Is the whole world against you? Her comment quickly rose to the top of the hot comments. Help, she's grabbing someone else to hit herself. She really went through with it. Her face is swollen. How can she prove she was bullied if not swollen? Don't call her Linjo anymore. Change it to Lin T, if I remember correctly. The lead role of her award-winning movie was initially set for another actress who was quite popular before. After her intimate photos were leaked, she got shelved, couldn't get the role through auditions, and now, relying on slander and spreading rumors, is that it amidst heated discussions. Another video surfaced on the trending searches. It was recorded at a university abroad, filled with foreigners of various hair and eye colors. They burst into laughter after a Chinese international student spoke, mimicking her slightly imperfect pronunciation. The thin blonde man leading the mockery recited in a clear and precise tone, saying, do you know what this is? This is proper British English, Joker. Then, I grabbed him by the collar and punched him in the face. I cursed back with a standard accent, laugh, laugh, laugh. What's so funny? Did you laugh like this at your father's funeral too? He was furious and clamored for a one-on-one fight. I punched him again, poking his chin with the tip of my shoe. I smirked. Do you know what this is? This is real Chinese Kung Fu, mutt. The video was posted by an ordinary international student. I'm also a girl born in the mountains, nearly thrown into the hearth for firewood by my grandmother at birth. Unlike MS, Lin Jiu, there were no pianos in our village, nor a kindly benefactor providing a hefty monthly allowance, just me, who took nearly 30 years to muster the courage to step out and see the world, only to be mocked on my first day of studying abroad. I just can't stand it when people twist the truth and slander those who have helped me. The comments section was buzzing. Am I seeing this right? Is this Lu Xinxin who Lin Jiu accused of bullying and mocking her English pronunciation? Finally, someone speaks out, who in their village learns to play the piano for years. The whole story doesn't add up. Yet so many believed it. Holy crap, she's so cool. The benefactor isn't Lin Jiu's benefactor Lu Xinxin's brother. Who knows if he's just trying to compete with his sister for the inheritance by slandering her? Then there's the video from my 18th birthday. Lin Jiu, in order to secure funding, jumped off a rooftop and falsely accused another girl from the orphanage of pushing her, captured on surveillance footage. The evidence against Lu Xinting wasn't just his attempted murder of Qin Jilan. To expand Lu's enterprises and seize projects, he and my father conducted countless disgraceful acts behind the scenes. I owe it to my mother for obtaining all this evidence. The last one involves Jiang Tian. He gaslit his own mother for 7 years, driving her to commit suicide in front of her husband. He traded his mother's life for a chance to enter the Jiang family. I spent a lot of money tying together clues from past and present lives, bringing these revelations to light on trending searches. Thanks to their prior manipulations, countless people were already watching this feud unfold. When it came to criminal activities, the uproar was immediate. Onlookers hurriedly reported to the police. They had no chance to suppress the matter. Those who try to manipulate public opinion will ultimately perish by it. Are you satisfied with this ending? On the day my father and Lu Xinting were taken away by the police, my mother presented a divorce agreement. Lu Xinting couldn't believe it, shouting at her, "Mom, am I not your son? Why do you favor Lu Xinxin over me? I'm your child too. Your father favored you, and I favor your sister." My mother sighed softly, sat down in front of him, and took a sip of tea. In this world, things are always fair, aren't they? The projects that the Lu and Jiang families collaborated on and snatched from me subsequently failed. Their charges now included economic crimes. I took over the severely weakened Lu enterprises and merged them into Lanqin. Then I met with Jiang Shermoon, who had regained control of the Jiang family. She is Jiang Tian's half-sister from the same father. Her parents had a business marriage. When I was young, I hated that woman, feeling she ruined my family. But later I realized, if my father hadn't cheated, none of this would have happened. There's no such person as Jiang Tian in this world. She picked up her coffee cup. Dying at the hands of her own son is her karma. I contacted her a year ago and we struck a deal. I would help her drive Jiang Tian out of the Jiang family and let her take control, but in return, she needed to assist me with various resource exchanges within the country, including this time's trending public opinion battle. Many of these were orchestrated by Jiang Shiyu. However, I'm curious, how did you guess that his mother's suicide was related to him? I smiled, but didn't reply. Because in my past life, he did the same to me. Before the judgment was delivered, I went to visit some old acquaintances in prison. The first person I saw was my brother. He stared at me intently. I smiled. Don't look at me like that, brother. I know what you want to ask. Being kicked out like a stray dog? I've been through that once already. You don't think I've been living a life of luxury abroad these years, do you? During the toughest times, I could only catch brief moments of sleep each day. Apart from attending classes and dealing with company matters, I was busy connecting with various contacts. From the clues of my past life, I gathered evidence of the evil deeds of these 3 people, because they were so adept and left no room for error. I believed it wasn't their first time. Evil people don't just become evil in front of me. In places I can't see, they surely bring even more darkness. I guessed right, Lu Xinting. Dad always said I don't resemble his daughter. He turned you into a ruthless bandit who would stop at nothing to achieve your goals, regardless of the law. Fortunately, I'm not like him. The second person I went to see was Lin Jiu. Her hair was disheveled, and her gaze was exhausted. Through the glass, her eyes were filled with intense hatred towards me. She could no longer maintain her innocent facade and hysterically asked why I didn't reveal the evidence earlier. Is it fun to play the victim? Of course, it's fun. Or why would you play that role for so long? I stood up. Of course, it's more interesting to let you think you've already won. I could have released this information earlier, but that wouldn't have been enough. Let her think she had triumphed completely and gained everything. Then, on the eve of dawn, watch everything turn to ashes. This is what I experienced in my past life. This time, it's your turn. The last person I went to see was Jiang Tian, actually. I didn't want to see him at all. Lin Jiu and I were always enemies, and I shared a blood connection with Lu Xinting, but Jiang Tian, after my love for him vanished without a trace. He and I had nothing to do with each other. However, the police told me Jiang Tian wanted to see me, so, separated by a window, we sat face to face. He silently looked at me for a long time, until I, growing impatient, stood up. What do you want from me? It wasn't supposed to be like this. He spoke softly. The Liu family should have been mine, and we should have been engaged. I halted in my tracks and sharply turned back. He looked at me steadily, his dark pupils shimmering with an unfathomable light. Looking at his face, if not for the faint scar on his forehead, for a moment, I thought I saw the Jiang Tian from my past life. Snapping back to reality, I found it ridiculous and laughable. Just engaged? Why not mention the rest? You relied on me to gain everything from the Liu family. And then you teamed up with Liu Xinting to kill me, but a long time later, I regretted it. His voice hoarse, he said, it's just that, you don't know anymore. I really hope you could know. It's absurd, it's laughable. Yes, I'm already dead, of course, I don't know. I turned around, leaning against the glass, looking at him, and said word by word, but even if you know, what good does it do? Who cares about your regrets? This time, I am the winner. And you are the one going to hell, Jiang Tian? This is what you deserve. The winter that year arrived early. When I left, it had already turned dark outside. Qin Jilan called to say she would be going abroad after the new year to start a new experiment at a research institute. I said okay, and then wished her a smooth journey. After hanging up the phone, I received a message from Su Lan on WeChat. She was already at the hot pot restaurant and asked me to hurry over to settle the bill. I replied with a smile. Outside the car window, a crescent moon hung high in the sky, illuminating a corner of the ink-like night. When this night is over and the moon sets, my sun will rise again.